All right, guys, we're back for the Real Show. It's the 22nd of August, 2020. Max is in the room, Sam is in the room, Randy Pace is still here hanging out with us, so we're going to take some insight from him on how fucked up the world is, because we all know it. I got a really funny one coming in later this week. It's Carrie something. She's a...
Underwood?
No, that'd be nice, though. But Carrie something, she's running... She's not even really running. I don't know. We'll talk about it here in a second. And then I'm trying to get some Eddie Manis. I'm trying to get Gino Ostra in to come and help explain their side of the situation that's going on that we spoke about in the last episode. So that's what we've got going on. We appreciate y'all listening. We are almost in agreement. All right, guys. So like I said, Randy's here still with us, and now we get to be gross and real nasty, and Randy is going to put his reputation at risk, but we'll go from there. So I don't know. We've had a bunch of different stuff going on this week. We've been talking about, we were arguing about whether it's a crime to try to cheat for your kids to get them into school. Like, is lying on a college application and paying some sort of guy to lie about your kid's athleticness to get them through some back door.
Oh, did you watch that documentary thing?
Which one?
The one on that.
No, on Aunt Becky?
Yeah. Like they like staged, the girl never even played soccer, and they like staged photos.
It's all rowing.
Yeah, that was one of the stories I read.
One of them was soccer or something.
They said it was like 24 separate parents.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was like
either way, it's some
families.
they figured, like, some guy figured out some loophole in the USC registration process where you get them to be athletes in random sports that nobody really cares about, and that'll help you. It's been like $250,000 a kid or something like that is what they were paying. Nah. It was like a $50,000 donation in one place and $200,000 somewhere else.
But what do they...
To get their kids into school?
But the university had a part in that.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
The athletic department had a part in that.
And
like, what difference does it make if my kid goes and plays at UT and he's recruited by the football department and the football department gives him a full ride scholarship and entry to play in that university, or the soccer coach hires somebody, or rowing or crew or whatever that never actually is going to play the sport? I mean, isn't that the coaches?
Well, I think part of it that was unclear to me, and I don't know if it said it in the article, I didn't find it, was whether or not they were given scholarships. I didn't say anything about scholarships. It was just admittance to the school.
It wasn't so they could get on, because obviously for some of them
they were not playing that sport.
They weren't even playing that sport at all, but it just looked better on their college resume that they were.
You heard this story, Randy?
Captain of the team.
So I've heard lots of stories like this, and here's my take. You ready? I'm going to sum it up. I told you I'm a soundbite magnet. There ought to be a law. No, actually, there ought not be a law.
See, this guy. I knew I liked this guy.
Quite frankly, no. Now you may disagree. So, as it relates to college admissions, everybody talks about leveling the, no pun intended, the playing field.
Right.
So somebody goes to UT and plays football, and they do a spectacular job, and UT benefits the faculty, the students, the school as a whole, and let's face it, it's a state university.
Right.
So we all benefit if they succeed. If somebody comes in and says, hey, I'm going to stroke a check for X number of dollars, and it's going to go directly to the sports organization, so my kid just wants to go to UT. And, like me, he's dumb as a box of rocks, should have never gone to college. He's just taking up space, but because his parents had money, now he's there. Did somebody else miss out?
Right.
Because it's a state institution, did we miss an opportunity to benefit the university, the faculty, the students, the state as a whole, because we didn't have a spot for somebody because somebody else paid for it that wasn't
right
meeting their requirements? Anyway, should there be a law? Yeah. There are already laws. Follow the rules. You don't like them, change it. I again, like I said, that
was kind of my thing.
If you're gonna pay to send your kid to school, because they're not going to do the work or they're not smart, it says more about you than it does me. And I don't have a dog in that fight. My kids, my children's education was paid for by hard work and effort, personal responsibility. They didn't take student loans. Yay me.
Right.
But there are people out there that can't. but some of the most brilliant people in this world don't grow up with a silver spoon in their mouth. My kids didn't grow up with a silver spoon. We just, forego family vacations, driving brand new cars. It's a matter of choices. I think it's a poor choice if you pay to get your kid in a school that they shouldn't be going to.
Right.
I think it's crazy to forego vacations and not drive a new car. Fuck those kids. They need to earn it on their own. They ain't getting it from me.
Yeah, but if I
Right,
do
Max's
that, then they never leave the house.
Hey, I've got 3 in college and no student loans.
Hey, I left home at 17. Come on.
So Max's rule is, I give you life. That's enough.
That's fucking it, man. Nothing more.
I just thought it was like
And a car. I have given them all cars.
I found it like the most interesting thing to me, probably in the conversation we had about it, is it's the media take on it, which is often on a number of subjects. Is the media
Defund the media.
I don't know if you saw that. There was somebody selling those T-shirts, and I put it on our Facebook page. It's like, and this is the guy trying to get into the media. Buy some Defund the Media shirts.
Bye.
Is that what this? That's what you call this media?
I don't know. I call it 4 guys fucking around in my basement. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I have.
We need more of this and not organized media.
I think that's one of the problems. I think that's one of the problems. Like, I'm not going to say no to if somebody's dumb enough to come up and be like, "Hey, I'll give you $100 to say our name on your show or whatever." I'm going to say it. But if they follow that up with, "But you can't talk about this," I'll be like, "Never mind." Mostly because I'm not disciplined enough to remember.
There's a point, because my sister-in-law, who has a monetized YouTube channel, and she gets people wanting to sponsor her, this, and they'll send her free stuff, and she just did one for $50. She did one of her episodes on vag clean things.
That's important.
Like
That's
a
important
douche
knowledge.
kind of
People
thing. But I'm like, when do you, I'm sorry. If someone comes to us with anal plugs for $50, I'm not going to sponsor that. I'll let Sam sponsor it, and I'll take part of that cut. But
I'll sponsor it. I'm just not going to do a personal. I'm not going to give a personal.
what you got to do? You got to do a personal.
You're not going to test the equipment.
You got to test it to give it a good review.
Right, I'm not going to vouch for it. I'm going to be like, here's what they told me to say.
All right. Well, here's how stupid I am. If I can't do what you do. I really can't. I have no ability to do that. You're more likely to give me $50 to dig a ditch than you are $50 to press buttons on a, what do you call that anyway? The mix board?
Sure, that works. It's not that difficult, but what I'm hearing is that I need to charge more.
Yeah, I think
Actually, it's a supply issue.
Hey, it's market based. Hey, I'm a capitalist. It's market based. How many people listen to this? Honestly. I guess I should have asked that before I came on, huh?
Well, including our wives, 6.
No, we're averaging about 50 to 55 an episode.
Oh, come on. You're kidding.
No, that's it right now.
Well, yeah,
All right, so how about we do this? I can help.
Go ahead.
How's that?
I'll take it, but I'm saying the metrics are hard. Like the metrics are kind of confusing because
you got a Facebook page though.
Yeah,
that's free.
That's
sort
true.
of.
There's a whole secondary story in that because our business is not allowed to advertise on Facebook, and since I am the admin on our show Facebook page, it assumes that we're in the same business, and so Facebook won't let us advertise because my other business that I manage on Facebook is unadvertisable. So we've been fighting with Facebook about that.
I don't think there's a restriction for me. So the Knox County Republican Party has a Facebook page. And the chairman went on, made public comments about what's going on in Knox County. He talked about politics. Oh, no.
Right.
He talked about the Spanish race.
No, that's fine. It's not that. It's that it's...
But, no, my point is,
okay.
Here's where you go and listen to those comments. There's a podcast. There's a bunch of guys in his basement doing what? What do you call it?
Fucking around. It's our...
All right. I'm not sure I can use that language on the GOP Facebook page. But my point is... I can point to it, and given the state of media today, honestly, organized media, I swore off it. I'd rather listen to all your podcasts because out of all the ones that I've listened to up until this point, and I'll get to all of them at some point, but everything I'm hearing is, you're looking for answers. You're looking for information,
Right.
And you're struggling to get it,
Right, because
But you're providing information by allowing
Right.
people running for public office to get on.
Right, because I always start with the story of Gina, and she was the first, and I super appreciate it for her. I've told her 1,000 times. I'm trying to get her to come back on, so I'm trying to be extra buttered up right now because I want her to come back on about the situation. But, when I got her on, I was all excited. I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to go do some research. I'm going to ask some poignant, serious, real questions. And there wasn't shit to find. All that existed was her Facebook page, her website. The Compass had an article, but we weren't subscribers yet. And then there was the tiny little blurb on WVLT's app news page, whatever, that was literally just, here's the picture of the race, Eddie versus Gina, and then Virginia on the other side. That's the entirety of the news that I could. That's the all I could find on Gina Oster in on the internet. And it's like, well, how if I can't find this and I'm looking, what's everybody else doing that's looking for information, or is the assumption that nobody's looking? Well, so either we're selling to a market that we're trying to sell to a market that doesn't exist because nobody cares, or there are people that care and there's just not an option for them, and we're going to plug that hole.
If you watch a debate or something, it's very scripted questions. I mean, you don't really get the real thing as a 1-on-1, 2-on-1, 3-on-1, just that person talking, and they can talk about their stuff. So there's not a lot out there.
Well, and really, as I've gotten into it, I stopped trying to research as much. I kind of let them, I'll speak on something. I talked to Eddie when he was on about, there's been this situation about you're not Republican enough or whatever. We want to talk about that. But I kind of let them talk and say what they need to say, and then I'll follow up with a question responding to them instead of starting with a question. I let them talk, and then I ask questions about what they're saying instead of having a bunch of stuff set up in front of me, because I don't, I didn't plan on... I did want to talk to you specifically about the Gina Eddie thing,
right?
But I didn't break down any more than I had gotten from this sphere around me, because reality is there wasn't anything else there to it. But
if your advertisers were paying you $200,000, yeah, you would spend the time to do exactly what you just described.
In fairness,
$100 if we would spend the time.
No, I don't see, but I don't know. I would hope that the argument would be is that no, you want to advertise on this show because of what we do. I'm not going to change what we do because you're now advertising. That would be as we grow into that. That would be my stance on it. Is as we grow into that, it'd be like, no, you're advertising with us because this is what
that's
we do.
Pretty profound. All right, so now that you brought that up, so like I said, I've listened to your podcast, and you brought up that point about not finding the information, the information not being readily available about Gina. So what's the most compelling reason to vote? Seriously. I mean,
because
you were looking for information that you could share with people.
Right.
Readily available, easy to understand information. We spent 30 minutes talking about, what's going on with that particular challenge race, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And most people are going, too much info. That's more... I want to know, are you a decent human being?
Right.
Do you have the skill set and understanding to do? Well, that's why we have parties. Honestly, that's why I do what I do. I mean, there's not a whole lot I don't know already about the political process. And what I don't know, all I got to do is pick up a phone or click on a website, and I can get that information. So if somebody asks me a question, and I get questions constantly. And most everybody in Knox County in political circles knows if Randy starts, get a pillow. He's not going to stop until you walk away.
So here's a good question.
Because he wants you to be informed.
Right.
Here's a good question, because you were, how long you been with part of the GOP party here in
So I've been in Knox County for a little over 6 years.
Okay, so you were doing this prior to Trump getting elected.
I was not a party guy. I was an elected official. As a matter of fact, funny story real quick. They returned my check. So you pay dues, you get involved in the party. So I wanted to get involved in the local party in the community that I ended up serving as mayor. So I wrote a check. I said, "Hey, I want to volunteer. I'll be your membership guy. I'll drag more people in here to help support." They returned my check. I was like, you got to be kidding me. They didn't want me around because I wanted the public to be more informed about who, what, when, where, why. And they were like, oh, no, you're upsetting. Of course, it's New Jersey. They earn their political stripes.
Right.
Graft, corrupt. First official act, fired the township attorney. He's overbilling the township by, a couple $100,000 a year. He would bill at an hourly rate what was covered under his retainer. I was like, really? You charge me $150 for a 24-minute message left on a phone.
That sounds like.
Oh, wait.
Can
Can we get his number? Because that's a lot cheaper than our lawyer.
Well, now hold on.
It's $50 a text message.
I don't know about your phone. My answering machine, my message cuts off after like a minute and a half. You get 24-minute message you left. Where is it?
Right.
If that's what you billed me for, where is that message? No record.
Right.
Well, that's because you didn't leave it. Anyway, so we fired him. Your government needs help. Your vote matters because there's too many people running around doing the wrong thing, not paying attention. That's why, and again, for me, that's why parties matter. People that involve in doing, I don't get paid for what I do. Nobody on our staff, nobody in the Knox County GOP gets paid to do what we do. It's all volunteer.
Everybody?
Everybody.
Huh.
So the question I was gonna ask is, prior
That's why we don't have tech support.
prior to Trump getting
That's why we
elected,
don't have a radio show.
it seemed, when he was first running, it seemed like the Republican Party did not like Trump. And then after he got elected, it seemed like they have rallied around him. Like, I really want to know how that was going in the local GOP prior to Trump getting the Republican nomination. Like,
So I honestly, I got here in 2014, and I really didn't ramp up and get to the point where, I was prepared to run as county party chairman for a few years after that. I will tell you this: I can't help but think my success in New Jersey was because of my campaign slogan, Medford First.
That's pretty unique.
Sound familiar? No, wait. Mine came first. You understand what I'm saying here? Anyway.
So wait, you're taking the blame for Trump, is what you're saying?
No, I'm taking credit for. Yeah,
you.
It's all my fault.
You inspired.
I accept full responsibility.
You inspired him to at least sloganeer the way he did.
I just want to know, does not, and there's a lot of things I do like about Trump.
Like the sweet face mask that
Yeah,
you just got?
exactly.
The what?
The sweet mask that you just gave us.
Oh, yeah.
But
I got dozens of them.
can somebody
This is not a public service announcement for headquarters.
Can somebody in his cabinet not turn off his Twitter? I mean, like,
right.
that's the thing. Like, whenever I'm talking to somebody about Trump,
It's always the
their
last thing he said on-
response is always, "Well, do you see what he says on Twitter?" And it's like,
So you remember the Tea Party?
yes.
Yeah, all right. So there was this guy up in New Jersey. His name was Steve Lonigan. He was mayor of another city in New Jersey. So he reaches out to me after I got elected. I went to League of Municipalities down at this huge convention in Atlantic City, and all the vendors and lawyers and everybody goes and they buy, politicians that. Anyway, like I said, they earn their political stripes. So he reaches out to me after he hears me speak down there because I had 12, 13, 1,400, 3,000, I don't know. It was a huge room. And they wanted to know how Medford Township turned it around. How we went from, a huge tax increase or potential huge tax increase to becoming financially solvent again in a short period of time. So Steve was the leader of the New Jersey Tea Party. And he's like, Randy, I want you to come to Washington with me. We got this convention going. So I jump on a bus. I go to Washington. Michelle Calkin, just all these Fox News muckety mucks. What's the guy's name? Dinesh D'Souza is standing on the stage next to me. I'm like, what have I done? What have I done? What have I gotten myself into? The idea that Donald Trump got elected and was nothing more than the public's had enough. We're fed up. The Tea Party didn't work. The Libertarians can't agree on almost an agreement. That's an appropriate name. It really is.
I'm the only Libertarian here. They don't.
They can't agree on anything. Come on.
It's fair.
Well,
that's
neither can the Republicans. Neither can. We've just been doing it longer.
Right.
Well, the Libertarians, it's okay because that's part of the thing. Do your own shit. You don't need to agree on stuff, right? That's their party stands. They're not supposed to agree on anything.
Right, you're just allowed to.
I do what I want to do and leave me the fuck alone. That's their stance.
Yeah, but the problem is, then how do you get somebody elected to public office if nobody can agree who it should be? You can't have. Look, we used to have 19 county commissioners in this county. I was like, what? You guys couldn't get anything done, and if you got it done, it was because the guy with the deepest or fattest wallet. You know,
that's why they had to have the sunshine law, whatever that. It can't be more than 3 of them meet.
Oh my God! Hey, you were talking about it the other day about the city and county merging.
Right.
Yeah, there's efficiency and less government, right?
Right.
There should be, you would think.
Right.
There's not a whole lot of models out there that bear that out. Look at Nashville.
Right.
Oh my God.
Well, and for those of you that need to get on here and follow us on Facebook, I got into a little bit of a tiff about it because somebody had commented on it. It's like, he was saying that I have this assumption that it would be better and nobody else seems to think that way, and so you keep commenting whatever, and it's like, well, I don't know if it's better, but I feel like it could be, and why am I the one that's pushing this idea to at least put it in place, or not put it in place, but at least put some structure in, or give us a picture of what it might look like if we did it. I don't have the time, energy, or knowledge to go through and say, okay, well, we're going to keep KPD, but KPD is going to, all the different stuff that you push and pull together to make a metro, and how it would actually work. Let's somebody who has the insight and time, who is elected to do these kind of things, if their job is to look out for us and what is better for us, then it's a viable option. So somebody should be at least writing it and presenting the option.
Well, yeah, because the shit show right now is working so great, right?
So there is a model that makes consolidated resources a viable option. There are. Do we need a city police department and a county police department? Well, the first question you have to ask is, who loses when you combine them?
Right, and
that's the driving
right. And
force.
that's been the
city.
Well, it depends. It depends which model you put in place, because the running joke is, well, I'd be okay with it if my mayor, because we have a Republican mayor and a Democrat mayor at the same time for city county, and it's like, well, if my mayor takes over, then I'm good with it, but if the other mayor does, I'm not. And so it's like, well, it depends which way we push this thing together on whether or not it's funny because most people I talk to, they pretend like it's not a partisan thing, but they always lean back into it depends how you push it back together.
But Kane's not a Republican, right?
I don't know.
He's libertarian. Is that correct?
He says he is. I don't know. I haven't followed him.
What is his like?
He's a Republican.
Yeah, Bridget ran as a Republican.
He did run as a Republican.
Hey, well, ask the man that's right here in front of you. Mayor Jacobs.
Mayor Jacobs. You said Kane. Yeah. That's everybody refers to him as
I called him Mayor Kane to his face.
I know. I get it. Hey, look, you know what I call him? Mayor.
Mayor.
Yeah. Anyway.
Or with a couple drinks, you call him Glenn, like a human.
No, look, I met with Glenn Jacobs right at the beginning of his decision process to actively run for that office, and we had a great conversation. We really did. All right. So anyway, back to your comment. What? And you said it, and I don't mean.
He was a politician.
Yeah, like he doesn't ever answer the question. He kind of skirts around.
What was the question? I'm sorry. I was focused on something else before. What was the question?
You're the jackass that changed subject.
What did the Republicans think about Trump prior to him getting elected? But you said you weren't in.
Which Republican?
Locally.
I mean,
like the
like you're part of the Republican Party, right?
All right. So what did the Knox County Republican Party think of Trump? They don't endorse during primaries. The only idiot that does that is me. And I didn't endorse anybody. I just said to God, never mind. All right, so
No, I think that's the answer he was looking for.
They don't. So the answer is the parties don't make endorsements during primaries. The party makes determinations about who's going to be the standard bearer. But
there should have been. I mean, I would think there was some thought process in the party of like.
Do you have a problem with Trump? Is that the deal? I'm
no,
new here.
I don't have a problem. I voted for him.
I'm kidding. I'm joking, man.
No, and the reasons why I like him is why most of the Democrats hate him. So
you can call me any name in the book, and I'm not going to be offended. So I'm gonna do this, and don't take it the wrong way, because I'm in your house. You have a dog. Right. I don't know whether he bites if on command or not.
Well,
so
we've got a loaded crossbow nearby.
All right,
too.
so check it out. One size doesn't fit all.
Okay.
So if I combine city KPD and county KSC, and I have one sheriff or one police commissioner, whatever you want to call it, Sheriff Spangler is decidedly different when it comes to law enforcement, and I'll use 287G as an example, than the constituents in the city of Knoxville and their desire to not have it. So when you start talking about consolidating government, I'm all in favor, but I think the best government we can come up with is that which is closest to us and serves our interest.
Right.
Now, are there cost shares and cost savings? The administrative function of law enforcement, they already do.
Right.
The sheriff's office and the KPD already share some of that. Can we do more? Yeah, we absolutely can. When it comes to consolidating government, man, you got to sharpen that axe a whole lot sharper than it is right now. I'm going to tell you, the big, it's dull.
Right, but the big main part to me is that with the way Knoxville has grown and is growing and is likely to continue to grow, the eventuality is there, and I think the more it becomes as a reaction to need than a preparation to we're gonna need is going to make it even harder and more costly in the process. And that's my assumption on it, and I don't have the depth of knowledge to really prove that out and break down all the different numbers on it. But I feel like there's, and I mean, when Matt was in here, he refused to answer the question. His way of answering the question is in the same time frame that everybody thinks, because like everybody we've talked to, it's like 10, 15 years out. That's the guess, is that's when Knoxville will go metro, 10, 15 years out. And his answer was 10, 15 years out, Knoxville's going to be blue. Knoxville and Knox County will be blue anyway. And then I was like, well, what's the motivation then at that point? If if the party now has control of both, why would they want to give up? Why would they want to shrink their own authority in the process? This? Matt Shears, the Democratic.
So
chair.
I think we should spend less time trying to define it as red and blue and start defining it as, what's good for the people paying the freight and whose interests we serve.
And that's my stance on it. Yeah.
And that's my stance on it. Honestly, like I said, I've been a Republican all my life, and for good reason. The less government, limited government, personal responsibility. It runs the gamut. I'll be the first one.
Does the Republican Party really want less government? I mean, is that? I know you say that,
wait.
Is that?
So who is, and we talked about this during the 30-minute segment, there's a difference between being a regular Republican voter and a member of the Republican Party. There's a difference between being a member of the Republican Party and an elected official.
And in my opinion,
I got elected as a Republican, but I serve everybody's interest, not just the party's. The party has. So I'm going to run afoul of many rules, I guess. I don't know. Hey, I may not serve again as chairman.
We've only got 50 listeners.
We've only got 50 listeners.
Yeah, they may run me out of town on a rail. I don't know.
One
I don't
time.
care. You can kill me, but you can't eat me. That would be cannibalism. Anyway, I think the party needs to reset and refocus on what our goals and objectives are. We don't legislate. We support good legislation. That's our job. We need to find the best and brightest individuals to serve in public office that believe in liberty, freedom, personal responsibility, limited government. $20 trillion. There are very few people living in Knoxville right now, barring perhaps Haslam because he has that much. I don't know. That understand where we're at debt-wise. I can tell you, as having served as the mayor of a small community, one of the first things I did was go to the arts community and the seniors, some of the largest voting blocks,
They don't have anything
and I
else to
told
do.
them, we're not giving you any more money. And they were like, you can't do that. You'll never get reelected. I don't want your vote.
You're not going to live another 4
You don't
years.
seem to understand. We don't have it.
Well, I think on the same kind of thing, I think there's a big difference in local party ideals and their administration versus federal party ideals and the administration. I think it's a different when we get up to federal level, it's a different animal in the way the game is played, for lack of a better phrase. I think that's the best way I can think of to say it, is that when you get to Pelosi's and McConnell's, they're playing a totally different political game than
With a totally different set of rules
right
and players.
than a Todd and a Kyle. It's a whole different, like it's on such a different level, but specifically on the Republicans are supposed to be the limited government people. When you get to the federal level, that's all. I mean, that one specifically. That part of the rule book is out of the window, at least in my perception of what you watch. Because I'm agreeing with you, is that when you get on federal stuff, I mean, because Trump is just as bad as Clinton or Obama or a whole mess passed prior to him, as far as expanding the size and scope of the federal government. And I think that's one of the bigger issues, and that's one of the reasons why, for me, I wanted to focus so hard on local stuff, because we locally need to figure out how to get the federal government out of our day-to-day.
It starts right here in your own backyard.
So I was looking at your paper right there, and it says term limits no. Does that mean you
Wait, one more time.
term limits?
He's looking at the
No.
No.
Say it one more time. Term limits. No.
So you don't think there should be term limits?
We have them. We already have them. It's called elections.
See, I told you you aren't going to have any fun, because I agree with you.
No. Because, okay, so there are people that go to the vote, and if they're Republican or Democrat, if they vote Republican, the guy's been a senator for 50 years.
He's
they
not
don't even
wrong.
know who his name is. I mean, hell, Minnesota a few years back, the guy died during the election, and the people still voted him in. Like, people don't know. They just vote for things. So I think if you had term limits,
Well, I think
it's my opinion, and it's a very smart opinion, then people would run for government. People that would run for government were people that want to change something and not a career. Just because every job you have, just like the people that work for us, they will do shit they don't want to do to keep their job. And I think politicians do that.
Okay, so I think
No argument there. You are absolutely right.
But I think part of it falls.
Term limits didn't fix that. Hold on. Bear with me. And Seth, it's your show.
Well, no, I'm
You
just
can
saying
cut me off.
part of that falls on the feet of the party too, because the power of the incumbency is just as much that's the person that was already there as it is because Trump ran a primary this year. Not really, but he did, because they technically go through the process. But there's no, like, the party had no intent of putting any real contender to the Republican
And that
side
doesn't
of the
make any
ticket.
sense.
I agree with that,
Why do
but-
they not be like, hey, let's see if there's someone better out there than Trump?
And I think that's what I'm saying.
Because we are
falls
too far along. On the straight answer to that question right there is we are too far along in the process.
But
we were already in the midst of a primary. You don't have the time. Look, I spent 4 years, and I had never had any intention of running for public office. They called my wife, unbeknownst to me, and said, "Patty, if Randy doesn't run with us, we're going to lose. One of our running mates bailed. We need him, and he's already said no." I was like, "Really? You go
And
to
your
my
wife talked you into it?
My wife looked at me and she said, you got two choices. You either throw your hat in a ring or you've attended your last township council meeting." And my wife is apolitical.
And you like that? You like going to township meetings?
Dude, I spent the better part of 60 hours a week for 4 years combing through every document and record Medford Township ever published. I went back years, decades. I'm an anomaly. I really am. I'm the chairman of Knox County Republican Party. I've been here 6 years. At the very last minute, they put up a known, well-known, well-respected, lifelong Knox County resident, former state legislature, to run against me as county party chairman, and I won. Why?
I didn't vote for you.
You didn't go to the convention.
Okay.
So, but why did that happen? Because a week after I bought my house, I got involved in local political issues, scene. You got to be present. You got to pay attention. You got to look at it and say, how can I help? I'm an anomaly. I'm retired. I don't have to work for a living. I'm not a rich man. My wife has more money. If it weren't for my wife, I wouldn't be here. But I'm an anomaly. What I need is your listeners, people not unlike you, to say, gee, if I commit 5 minutes to this guy and tell somebody else, and hey, look, I get 100 phone calls every election cycle, who do I vote for? Because I've got 900 people sitting in this building, and they're going to listen to what I tell them about who to vote for. Who's answering that question? Think about that for a minute. You were talking about incumbency. You were talking about somebody that serves forever. It's a name I'm familiar with. I don't have to ask any questions, and I can go back and watch, what's the guy's name? Jerry Springer?
Exactly.
Yeah, I can do something else. It's fun. This ain't fun, but guess what? We self-govern. And when we stop participating, when we stop self-governing, we get what, don't expect, inspect. You get the government, you inspect.
That's my argument on it too. It's like
well, that's what you're already doing, like it or not, Seth.
But I mean, it's our job to get them out if it can't. Now again, but it does specifically with the. I mean, neither Gino or Eddie are incumbents, but with the weirdness of the rules game that we were going over in the other episode is in the optics of that specific situation is gonna be like, well, we did. No, the district's 18, right?
Here, let me.
We did participate, and now all of a sudden there's questions on whether we get to.
I'll step in it again. You ready? Hey, what are they going to do? Take my birthday? I'll step it in again. The rules of incumbency applied to that race. You had a former mayor, a former U.S. ambassador to Poland weigh in on that race.
Right.
In a significant way. In a significant way. The Manus candidacy was predetermined by people that don't vote in the 18th district. And I'm not saying that individual doesn't. I'm saying that there were people that put their thumb on the scale. I don't represent all the constituents of Knox County. I represent the Knox County Republican Party. That's who I represent. People that represent their own interests, incumbency, the same old, go along to get along. We've got to put an end to it, and that's why your vote matters. That's why doing more than just pulling that ballot and taking, like I said, 5 minutes.
Yeah, but if you watch Facebook, you can get all the information you need off of political parties.
I thought,
watch our Facebook page. There you go.
So I had a cyst removed from my hand not long ago, and I was like,
you called it
that's
Twitter?
a lot of money. That's a lot of money. I bet if I went on the internet, I could figure out just how to I mean, for crying out loud.
I would have done it for half for you.
I spent 17 years on aircraft carriers. I have helped build and put stuff back together to keep that ship going. Really?
Shit, you could have done it.
Yeah. No. Come on.
So what's the
Am I being too serious? Are we not having enough fun?
What's the
I'm having a great
Republicans
time.
Party
He's
view
looking at me like I got antennas coming
that's-
out of my
No,
head.
that's
him?
what Sam does.
Sam.
No, you're
Sam,
just
come
directly
on.
across from me. I look at the person
Ask
that's
me a
talking.
hard question.
So
Sam.
what's the Republican view?
Don't let me get
on
away with
the
this.
coronavirus?
Okay.
Huh?
What's the Republican Party stance on coronavirus?
The Republican Party doesn't have a stance on the coronavirus.
Yeah,
Nice try.
No, seriously. Hold on. You want my opinion or do you want the party's opinion?
Okay, your opinion. What's your
No,
opinion?
hold on. Let's be clear on this. Who do you know that has not offered their expert advice?
We spent like the entirety of the show because we accidentally started right when it did.
Yes.
I want to say we're on. I forgot to do.
So
that
this
intro.
is a common
26.
thread for you guys.
I mean, like literally, we
so
started.
late to the
we
game.
disagree with
so
this
it doesn't.
on this a lot.
So it doesn't matter what I say. You guys
I'm
are
done.
already
I'm
ahead of me.
I'm over. Like I personally, I've become full fatalist on it. If this thing's gonna fucking kill me, it's gonna kill me. I'm gonna do my due diligence and I'm gonna play along and I wear my mask and blah 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 blah. But I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna lock myself in a hole in the ground and wait.
You
for it
are
to pass.
more likely to suffer more severe consequences about what your government does because you don't vote.
That's a fact.
Well, all right there. I'm sorry. Cat's out of the bag.
I was in
You heard it here, folks.
Home Depot and Kroger today, and both of them said I had to wear masks, and I didn't. And then they over the loudspeaker, they were like, "If you're not wearing a mask, you're required to wear a mask in there." I didn't wear a mask.
And see, that's why we use pseudonyms because we talk about breaking the law in here.
No.
Oh. Now, so I need to stop calling you by name?
No, you call them their fake names. We've established that.
All right.
I'm
So
stuck.
I am Randy Pace. I am the chairman of the Knox County Republican Party. And the
No, I'm
disclaimer,
Randy Pace, and I'm the chairman of the Republican Party.
and the disclaimer is I'm solely responsible for my actions, my words, my comments. If I'm speaking on behalf of the Knox County Republican Party, I will make that clear. Look,
And I will edit that part out so we can trap them later. Check.
Exactly.
See, that's the thing. See, I'm too
Randy
lazy.
Pace.
I'm too lazy to edit shit.
Cannibalism.
Yeah, we'll pull it. Yeah, I'll construct a sentence out of this whole episode that gets real bad.
I believe in cannibalism.
So apparently, Randy.
He said believe at some point.
Randy's in on the QAnon thing. He's good.
oh, we need to tell sea stories. Seriously, I'm a sailor, first and foremost.
Well,
I always need
he's a
transportation.
half sailor.
Well, yeah, he told me. We were talking about that.
I every time he comes over, I had my crayons.
Yes.
I'm sorry, woman.
And they're very tasty.
Crayons?
I had my crayons.
Crayons.
What'd you say?
Crayons.
Crayons. I had my
Crayons.
crayons.
So my daughter, we moved here from New Jersey, and my children. I have 5 children.
You don't say fuck enough to be from New Jersey. Just putting that out there.
I'm
Every
not
person I
from.
knew from
I'm
New
not
Jersey.
from New Jersey. Let's be clear, and this is a standard joke in the GOP in Knox County. I'm from West Tennessee. All right, so let's be clear. My family settled West Tennessee. There's a road
You're
in
from North Mississippi.
There is
Not
a
from
road
West-
in Dyer County, New Bern, where my grandfather donated the land and lumber in the church for the church that I grew up in that got struck by lightning, and I'm sure I had something to do with it. But there's a road named after my family. So I'll go at one better. And people say, "Well, you ain't from around here." Wait a second.
You talk funny.
Here, let me put it to you this way. I have roots that date back to Davy Crockett. So when all this Oster Manus deal is done, I assure you I'm not going to Texas, but quite frankly,
You'll be at
it
least
is
halfway
what it
there.
is.
Well, like we said earlier, when you grow up in North Mississippi, that's Memphis. North Mississippi, right?
Memphis.
Anyway, sea stories. Go hit it. Hit a sea story. If you want to tell a sea story, tell a sea story.
Oh, dang. Now you're putting me on the
My
spot.
father-in-law's Navy. He was in. He's got a great one about getting tossed overboard when he was in Vietnam.
Okay, so
That's the best I got. Is that half version?
We're anchored off the coast of Honduras. I'm an E4, Petty Officer 3rd Class. And I'm the youngest person on the detachment and the most junior. So we're on the USS Nassau. And there's conflict going on. We have a helo flight, and it's going to be graphic, and I'm sorry to all the children that are listening right now.
Because there are a bunch of them.
So they bring this kid in. He's got a big ass hole in his chest, and it was ugly. So anyway, one of my jobs is to make coffee in the morning. and we have these big coffee urns. Navy runs on coffee. What does Marines run on?
Crayons.
Treadmills?
Crayons, we just said it.
Crayons.
I'm sorry for
Navy
all of Max's
ships.
friends.
So
I'm going to get shot.
So I'm walking backside of the island, pitch black. You know, they got fueling hose laid out. I trip over the fueling hose. I've got this coffee pot in my hand. One hand grabs the lifeline. It's not enough to hold me up. I let go of the coffee pot, grab a hold of it with my other hand, climb back up on board the ship. I'm shaking. I'm a kid, for crying out loud. I thought I was falling overboard in the water in the middle of at 4 o'clock in the morning, and nobody's gonna hear me. Really? Anyway. So I'm sitting in the decon station on the backside of the island on the USS Nassau. The senior chief rolls in about 5:30. Pace. Where's the coffee? Senior chief, you're never gonna guess what happened. And I tell my story, and he looks at me and he goes, "You didn't answer my question. Where's my coffee? Did morning sneak up on you? Where's the coffee?" I was like, "Senior chief, I dropped it." He said, "You got about an hour to get another pot."
Tammy gave me a bunch of
He says, "I'm going to the mess. I'll be back." I was like, welcome to the United States Navy. I don't think it's that way anymore. I think everybody makes their own coffee or something.
No, 1,000 sailors go out, 500 couples come back. You guys never heard that one?
I've never heard that one. I get it. I get it.
All right, so I think that's a submarine reference, and actually, I'm going to make you feel bad. My son served on submarines.
Really? I served on the Bellawood.
The Bellawood of what?
Bellawood. It's a Navy ship, the LHA-3.
I'm busting your stones, man.
You know what amazed me, and I'm now more, which kind of goes into, I think what we were talking about earlier. No. Never mind. That was something different. These two, they send so many. We have a group chat, and they send so many articles and stuff like that. And I was reading it fast, going through and talked about
Hold on, time out.
Not population.
You read?
Not very well, obviously, how I'm talking.
Somebody read it to him.
No, it said.
Well, that's the rule. The rule is
if
we want him to actually
you
get the article, you need to
send a video.
Tape yourself reading it.
Exactly.
So that he'll listen to you reading it, because he won't actually read it himself.
Yeah, or my wife tells me about it, and then I have to
right, fact check her
exactly
version of it. Yeah.
But I'm more into caring about our seas and our oceans and pollution and stuff like that. And I was amazed when I was on ship that we pulled into port, they would just pile up all the trash down in the bottom of the ship.
Rio de Janeiro, baby.
And then we get out 10 miles, and the bulldozer would just push it all in the ocean. And I didn't think anything of it. We had to go down there to smoke, so we would go down there to smoke, and they'd be just trash everything just into the ocean. And it was like, I didn't think about it. But now that, I scuba dive and I care about that kind of stuff, it's like, holy shit, how many ships did our military and cruise ships and all that kind of stuff just dump that stuff into the ocean?
Let me get Google Maps. No, I'm not going to get.
I'm not going to pick up the floating plastic thing?
The trash.
No,
island?
actually,
I mean, cruise ships have been filmed doing the same thing.
I have literally.
It's crazy.
I've literally flown around, sailed around. I haven't swam around. I'm not that. The planet's a whole lot bigger than most people can fathom. Mm-hmm. We are stewards of our environment, and we got to do a better job. We absolutely have to.
Just a reminder, this is the Republican chair of Knox County that just said that out loud.
What?
You are going to get ran out of here.
Only the hippie Democrats care about that.
Let's be clear. If I didn't eat it and they served it to me on a tray and I was supposed to eat it, I don't need to package it in a bag and take it back to shore to be disposed of properly. Believe me, the fish want to eat what sailors don't.
Right, that's fair.
Yeah,
but
not plastic and that kind of shit.
No, they don't do that anymore.
No, they don't do it anymore.
They refer to them as hockey pucks. Now, I've never seen a hockey puck that nasty or that big. Seriously.
Back down. I don't know. That's a whole. I don't know. Environmental issues is a whole other one. Like I don't like. We've had arguments before about. I mean, I don't see, like, as far as like the politics of environment go, like especially in energy production. Like I'm very confused on why alternate methods haven't landed yet. Better. And, you know, we've had the argument about, like, the interstate energy issues. We've talked about that a lot. And, you know, that not being, I mean, which is it's not a non-issue. It's just the generation doesn't change.
It's silly when you talk about energy consumption and when you're talking about natural resources, if you're talking about TVA and dam producing energy, or you're talking about windmills or all that kind of stuff. There is a huge issue with producing too much natural power that affects the states around you, because our whole entire power grid is connected to us, and if we push into Georgia's power grid, Georgia has to pay us
there's the big fight over that kind of thing,
an enormous amount of things. So TVA is constantly turning off their power plants, turning on their power plants, turning off their power plants to just try to produce enough energy for Tennessee and not affect the other states around us. If you drive through Indiana and you see all these windmills and half of them are shut down because they're producing too much power at that time, there really needs to be a thing. Well, shit, if we're producing too much power and it pushes into Georgia and produces power for Georgia, that's okay. And there should not be
at least on the green side. I mean, if it's I could see it. Not that I like the idea of some governing body messing with it that much, but I could see it in the sense of saying, okay, well, if it's a coal plant, then yeah, you've got to pay for it.
Exactly.
But
no, I agree.
If it's, you know, if there's a huge solar field here in East Tennessee or something like that, and it's pushing a bunch of power into North Carolina and Georgia, who gives a shit?
Well, yeah, a lot of the power that comes from TVA is from water.
What if you had to pay to build that solar field?
But turning it off does not stop the power.
Hold on. Bear with me. I'm going someplace with this.
Okay.
What if you had to pay for that solar field? What if it came out of your pocket? And the regulation that was put in place made it fail.
That's a fair point, because if I'm Georgia on the same stance, I'm going to go, okay, well, I'm going to run under and take and not pay. Nah, that's fair. That's logical. I see the logic.
But if it's affecting us, if we're producing the power and we have to shut down because Georgia's sucking our power or whatever, we have to produce more coal but it goes through our power system first prior to going into Georgia.
Right, you still got your base customer. I mean, you still got your base.
You're still producing enough for your customers. That at the only time you're not producing when you're overproducing, it's pushing into customers. It's like if I was pissing diamonds, I wouldn't be trying to charge my friends and family for diamonds because I get them for free every time I take a piss. Like that's what it comes down to when it comes to energy. It's like if it's a natural resource, why are we stopping energy production?
Right. I know.
Why?
All right. So
that was a hell of an analogy, but
that was a great analogy. So. Now let me tell you the dirty secret. Again, I wake up in the morning. I don't want to know what I know about your government.
Okay, so they didn't.
So here's the deal.
Hold on, they didn't get the text. So I want to
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, man.
I wasn't sure if you wanted to talk about it, so I want to go into it. So we were texting back and forth, and I was to figure out the scheduling on getting you on here, and he said. What did I say? I said, you got me a little scared there with the careful what you wish for, air quotes. And he said, no worries. I wake up nearly every morning wishing I didn't know what I know about your government. And that is
a sad thing.
Right. And I was like, that's a quote and a half.
So back to what I said. Term limits? No. Anyway, so when it comes to power generation, keeping the lights on, mankind has done a phenomenal job going from, banging two rocks together and starting a fire to having electricity and all the different ways it's generated. Obviously, some are more efficient than others. Some are cleaner than others. When it comes to energy for use by mankind, all of it. Yes, I'm a yes on all of it. Here's the problem. There are deep-pocketed people that want what they want, and they couldn't care less about what's good for you and I. You're a ratepayer. That's all you are. You're a ratepayer. Just pay me for the electricity I provide.
Right. That's why it's hard and complicated.
And quite frankly, you have no hand outside the ballot box. You have no hand in how I generate that power.
No, here's a better one.
So shut up.
The better one is this guy is in the Hallsdale-Palo district, and he has to deal with that bullshit.
It's fucking bullshit.
And it's like and this is one that's interesting because I brought this up last week when Shears was in here, and he was like, "That's a big issue, and there's a lot of people talking about it. That's a nonpartisan issue because there's a lot of people pissed off about
there's everybody who deals with Hallsdale-Palo fucking hates them, and you don't have a choice. Everyone wants KEB, but we don't have a choice because Hallsdale-Power is our water company,
and how does that
raise the rates whenever they want?
And so how does that exist?
Okay, so
contracts.
So now wait.
But who's writing the contract?
So government doesn't own utility; it regulates it, and
well, they need a better fucking job of regulating my utilities.
Like you said, you're just a ratepayer, and the government is not worried about you. They're worried about the provider.
Well, the government's worried about making sure we have electrical power provided to everybody that needs it at the lowest cost. So if we just stood up tomorrow and said we are only going to use electrical power that costs us the least amount of money, that is the most efficient, you know what that would be?
Coal. Natural gas.
Wrong. You? Go ahead. Nuclear power.
Oh, nuclear power.
All right, hold on. And I'll tell you why. Nuclear power generates more energy than any other method of power generation. Okay. Yes.
Whatever.
Right.
Yes.
So
per dollar bill.
But we regulate nuclear power because it has other uses.
Right.
And there are safety factors, so that factors in. So at the end of the day, again, like I said, when it comes to power generation and regulation, I'm all for all of it. Here's what I'm not in favor of. I'm not in favor of artificially limiting somebody's ability to generate it. I'm not in favor of artificially supporting another method of generation. I have firsthand knowledge in how government has perpetuated solar power to the detriment of the public, with the understanding that, it's going to save the planet and it's good, but the amount of electricity we generated and its ability to be a sustainable source of power generate, and then add to it the people involved and the money that exchange. It's wrong. So here's where we're at on power generation. I don't have an electrical engineering background, but there are people that do. And I think that our elected officials should take the time to not limit one over another and find the best path forward. Do it for the least. I mean, let's face it, guys. Honestly, if you put the federal government in charge of the Sahara Desert, in 6 months, we'd have a sand shortage. It's not funny. It's not funny. I'm being
the truth.
I'm being honest with you.
Right. Well, no, because
this is wrong.
Right. Because to shift, to shift the base a little bit, I think that's one of the main, like, especially if we're going to do federal issues, the big, Medicaid or Medicare for all, or any of these new healthcare methods that everybody's talking about. It's that's the core for me. It's like, okay, it sounds great, it sounds brilliant, but you're going to hand the control and power to a industry or a body that has never done anything well or efficiently. And you're going to pretend like somehow this is the one thing they're going to do efficiently, because it's like we have a running conversation about, name me a government body that does a good job. We have one. We've stumbled on one, and I'm actually really surprised we got to one.
Actually, that's, again, it's one off. It depends on where you're at. I've seen the best of all of them, in a bunch of different. Go ahead. What's your one? I'm curious.
TWRA.
TWRA. Really? Really?
I mean, for as the crossbow on the floor indicates, we're
avid hunters.
We are hunting
crew.
Okay,
so let me ask you something as it relates to TWRA.
Okay.
Don't ruin this for us. We've only got one government body that we like. Don't ruin that one. Or do.
Let's go.
Next question.
no, let's go.
Ruin it. Come on.
With TWRA.
Because it helps my argument. My argument is that that these people, and they're people, but this group of people sucks at what they do, and whatever we hand them to do, they figure out how to make it worse. So your sand shortage in the desert.
Actually, TWRA is a great organization. It really is, and I love Tennessee for a lot of reasons, and the natural beauty of this state. When I left Tennessee in 1979. Man, most of the roads were gravel. Honest, you think I'm kidding you? They were gravel. They were gravel, and some of them were rutted mud. I came back to Tennessee in 2014 to live, and I'm like, hey, where are all the gravel roads? I bought mud tires. Where's the mud? Seriously. So, but we still have the natural beauty. We have still preserved the natural beauty. I go out on the Tennessee River. I got a boat. It breaks my heart. I see trash out there. But honestly, there's some trash. The Tennessee River is not nearly as polluted as some of the rivers up in the Northeast. Mm-hmm. It just they do a solid job. Now, how are they funded? More often than not, it's through user fees.
Right.
Man, I got to tell you, fellas, we've got a bureaucratic system in place, and you're familiar with the term grant funding?
Uh-huh.
All right, so if you get a federal grant, if you accept a federal grant, you're part of the problem. And I'll tell you why. Half that federal grant, when it leaves Washington, half the money that they collected was already spent on administrative fees.
Right.
Some of that goes to TWRA. When it gets to Tennessee, the Tennessee state government takes a piece of it for administration. By the time it gets to the TWRA, they're sitting on pennies of what it was intended for.
What we're talking about is how TWRA uses their money.
They use what they get
how they
wisely.
Budget their stuff. And
absolutely.
That's what we're talking about. For a government organization that doesn't
I'm
matter
with you. You found one, and it's a good one.
That's what I'm saying.
But there are others. And sometimes they're one-off, and sometimes it's local. But there are others. But it's only because of the people involved. It's only because of the people that monitor it.
Right, and that's
you said it yourself. Look at the equipment on the floor.
Right, and
look who's involved. Look who's minding the store.
Right, but that's the thing is the way the majority of the TWRA funding is through a requested tax essentially. When we were talking about this a couple episodes ago. I don't know. It's a set of taxes that like cigarettes have them and gas has them, and it's
when I register my boat, I pay a tax.
Right, but there's a specific set of taxes that is applied to hunting equipment, camouflage gear, all the different stuff that hunters use. That is a tax that is specifically taken out, and then it goes to the TWRA, and at least to date, it hasn't gotten reappropriated like Social Security and all the other ones that they like to do,
like the gas tax.
Right. I mean, that's one that me like. And then, we are not in the tobacco business, but we are in the nicotine delivery system business. And, you get into we haven't had to deal with it because we aren't in true tobacco, but you get into all the syntax stuff and all that debacle. It's just gross. It's like it's not helping anybody. It's not getting anybody to quit smoking. It's not changing anything. You're just overtaxing the poor guy that can't afford to smoke, but he cares more about smoking than he does about getting another cheeseburger or whatever the fuck. That's not the point I was getting to, but the hunters who essentially volunteer this tax are the ones that are then monitoring the people that are doing it. And so there is a mutual exchange between the two parties. It's like, we want you here, TWRA, to do these things, and we fund you, and so you answer to it, which is how government should be across the board, but it's not.
True story. My last duck
What I said, yes, was a true story. Yes, you're right.
No. My last duck hunt down on the Mississippi River. A guy shows up, everybody's there. It's cold and it's dark. He didn't have his license. And we're like, what? He's like, I just didn't get it. Yeah, everything. I thought they were going to beat that guy. And I'm going back. I was, 15 years old. They were going to whip this guy senseless because he didn't go get his license.
Right.
We're talking about the early 70s here. TWRA has been around a long time. And the outdoorsmen in the state of Tennessee are probably one of the most engaged overseers of government that there is. So I agree with you.
So the moral of the story really here is
you guys hit the nail on the head. I can't tell you anything.
Well, no, the moral of the story is that as hunters are engaged with TWRA, we as day-to-day citizens need to be engaged with day-to-day government is really the moral of the story, because that's the I guess the assumption I'm getting right now is that TWRA is good and responsible because we as hunters make them so. So we as constituents need to make our day-to-day government bodies
your words
react
not
in the
mine.
same way. But I'm just saying it's the same premise needs to, like, we as normal citizens need to care more about going and voting than watching the next episode of The View and get it done and put a little bit of effort into it and hold them accountable. That's the point. That's why hunters hold them.
It's true. Like if we're out hunting and TWRA comes upon us, right? We're like, oh, he wants to check our licenses. Okay, here's my license.
Right, and we all have guns, and we could do whatever we want, really, at the time. But
and you're like, oh, okay, cool. Here's my license. Cool. Appreciate you out there looking around for people. You get pulled over by a cop. You're like, oh, what the fuck does this guy want now? Like,
right.
It's a whole different situation.
Yeah. Okay. So, but TWRA is not dealing with what Knox County Sheriff's Department deals with daily.
That's true.
Right.
That's true.
So, and to his point, you guys are hunters, outdoorsmen. They're a different breed. So, but
not in Tennessee. It's the only breed.
But here's the funny thing. Here's the funny thing, and this is what kills me. I spent a lot of time listening to your podcasts, and while
I'm sorry.
While some of the people I associate with, they're not going to be happy about the foul language, shit.
You've not met my wife.
Whatever. So
yeah. Hold on. I'm going to interrupt you. Like we were outside on a break, and he said a bad word in front of your wife, and he apologized. And I was like, no, you don't say enough bad words. You need to apologize for not cussing enough.
Yeah.
Not that
my wife should have been born in New Jersey. We have some friends in New Jersey.
I'm not from New Jersey. Stop doing that. How many times do I got to do? I'm on a show I've never been on before, and I got to explain this again.
How long did you live in New Jersey?
12 years.
Okay. So how long did you live in Tennessee?
Total?
Yeah.
I don't know. 20. I spent more time in the Navy than I did anyway.
So, well, isn't there a
19,
expression
19
between
19
New Jersey
plus 6
and you talk like a sailor? Like between those two, New Jersey and the Navy,
I see where you're going.
you should use fuck more. I'm just saying.
All right. So that was all right. So we distracted from the point. The point was, you've listened to the show. You're talking about you've been listening to the show. Some of the people
all right. So I think by and large, you regardless of how you deliver it, keep delivering it, because the public just wants to be told the truth. That's it.
Right.
That's my shtick. I don't want to pull the wool. I don't want to be a politician. I don't want to pull the wool over anybody's eyes. I want to be straight with everyone, because the public wants their elected representatives to be honest. And quite frankly, my experience is the lie of omission is equally grave as, the lying outright. If you don't tell me, we've got a problem. I'll relate it back to the seniors. They were all upset their bus trip to Atlantic City got canceled. And I was like, we can't afford to send you on a bus to it. Do you not understand we are broke? We're looking at bankruptcy. I'm laying off township employees. Do you have any idea what is going on? You collect money from your membership and you have money in the bank. We don't. And you want me to pay your bills. It doesn't work that way. So I'm being honest with you. We're not funding that bus trip. You may miss it. And oh, by the way, the door closes at 4 o'clock. The township shuts down at 4. You don't get to stay there until 9 o'clock in the evening because we keep the air conditioning on. The door closes at 4. Well, we have got no. The door closes. Again, government has to live within its means, and our politicians have to be honest with the public when there is no more money.
Was that a hypothetical situation?
No, it was a real story. He was
It's a real story.
No, I'm saying
What?
you said the government needs to live within their means.
I think that's
and have accountability.
Right. I think that's one of those
That
things.
was a
That's,
hypothetical
I think you guys
situation.
are trying. I think you guys are trying. Just keep being honest with everybody. That's
I mean,
all
I think
I'm saying.
it's so hard to try to stay on local. It's so hard to get into these kind of conversations and go about.
I don't care what happened. Well, no, I can't say that. Randy, you're the party. Yeah. I am more concerned about local and state elections than I am the national ones. Listen, I'll be honest with you. Trump's going to win Tennessee. Newsflash.
Right. That's
President Trump won Tennessee.
Right.
It's going to happen. So I'm more concerned about local and state races because the government closest to us has a greater impact on our lives, and we have a great. How many times have I talked to President Trump in my life?
0.
Oh, come on.
Ding 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 ding.
You
ding.
take old people down to Atlantic City. You had to run into.
I
hotels.
have been as close to him from me to you, but I didn't get to talk to him. And I got news for you. Anything I had to say was not a policymaker. Okay, I joke about Medford First, but it's a joke. Seriously, we have more ability to impact locally, and when we do that, it's the bottom up. I don't need government from the top down. We have states' rights. We need to exercise those rights. We need to elect the best and brightest locally.
You have states' rights.
So see, that's the thing to me. It's like, how do we, as a populace, just for attention span's sake, not even policy sake, just for attention span's sake, get people more in. Not even involved's not even the word I'm looking for. Just pay attention. Just a little bit
Defund the
of
media.
attention.
I say that kind of tongue in cheek, but I'm serious.
But no, I mean, you're not wrong. Because
all right. So let's get right down to brass tacks, and now I'm going to just offend everyone.
All right, everybody.
I'm going to offend everyone.
I need to make a note so I can tell everybody which.
Your education system in this country is broken.
Correct.
What?
So if you want to. I piqued some interest.
No, you didn't.
I piqued some interest.
That's sarcasm. It's just sarcasm. It's really flat.
I get that. So seriously,
most people don't.
If you want to turn it around, go to the school board meeting. Don't even go to the county commission meeting. Go to the school board meeting and say, no, stop doing that. That's stupid. What do you do? Here, I got a better idea. There's a thing called a public record. Go and tell the school board you want to see every check they've written for the past 12 months. Do that. And then go and look at every check. And then question every check. You approved this. What was it for? I got news for you. Had somebody been doing that, we wouldn't have started a what was it, culinary arts program with no approval. We would not have had an approval or a contract agreement with UT that was never approved for $1 million that we couldn't get out of. I got news for you. The biggest waste or biggest draw on our financial resources in government is education, and they're failing us. Think about this for a minute.
Are you promoting oversight?
I'm sorry, what?
Are you promoting oversight?
That was 2 questions, one at a time.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No.
Oh, shit.
Am I promoting oversight? Yes, I am.
Okay.
So I had an auditor tell me one time after a meeting, he said, Mayor, I just want you, or no, I wasn't mayor then. He's like, Randy, I just want you to know I wasn't in favor of that, but I just do what I'm told.
Okay, but
you're the auditor. You knew there was fraud going on. Your boss told you to ignore it, and you were okay with that?
So
that's what he was taught.
So for clarification of the question, are you advocating a government body oversight, or are you advocating you and I as citizens?
We have one.
Oversight?
It's called a school board, and they need to exercise their authority over education.
Well, so if it's public knowledge,
eliminate the federal Department of Education, eliminate the state Department of Education, handle it locally.
Oh, you don't like Betsy DeVos? What's up?
But like, so
who?
I agree.
So the if it's public knowledge, every penny the school board spends on anything, and you say that that's something you have to request, why is that not something that's just posted? Like I go to the Knox County.
Well, they put out a budget. They do the limit. They do the minimum required. They make the budget available. What I'm talking about is an actual oversight, an actual digging into, an actual look at what are you spending the money on.
Okay, so.
And is it a legitimate expense? Is it an expense that furthers education, or is it just something we're doing because we think it might? Where's the success in spending money that serves no purpose?
Oh, no, I agree. And I wish that when my kids, because we have 6 of them, I wish that they would just give me an amount of dollars that I need to pay at the start of school. And say, hey, this is what you owe, $247, and not send home, oh, we got to raise money so the teachers can buy fucking Twinkies for the break room or whatever the fuck they're spending their money on.
Right. Well, just for me and you sake, I think we should order like a 55-gallon drum of hand sanitizer, 2 55-gallon drums. Take one to your guys' school. Put one to my kids' school.
And be like, I'm done.
Right. Be like,
I mean,
don't fucking ask me for shit.
You guys have heard the stories of teachers that are literally like, I know teachers personally that have had to go out and buy school supplies for their classroom because they're not able to get school supplies from the school or from the parents, from the request sheet of like, hey,
but
bring a box of Kleenex, a box of crayons.
Right, but I think Randy's point is, because all the Marines eat the crayons, but Randy's point is...
I don't get where that comes from, but go ahead.
It's a bad joke that I shouldn't make because I have no military experience and I'm going to get my ass kicked one day for it. But
probably, yeah.
But to Randy's point is that they're wasting money elsewhere.
Right.
It's like, sure, you're right. It's fucked up that a teacher is going out and spending their money that they get from the school system to buy shit for the school system. That is fucked up.
No, I agree with that. That's fucked up. But when they send a thing, hey, let's sell these candles or these chocolate bars or this run-a-thon or all this shit that they send home every other week for our kids to participate in, and they tell them, oh, you're going to win a decoder ring that's going to say... be sure to drink your Ovaltine.
Right.
That goes into reference? Anyone get that reference?
I know what Ovaltine is. I don't really get the reference.
The decoder ring?
That's One for Life, yeah.
No, that's a Christmas Story.
Christmas Story, yeah, that's exactly it.
All right, so, go ahead.
So
I tried to defend
that pissed me off. I was like, I would rather have the teacher not send any of those flyers home or tell my kids about it and say, hey, I need $150, and I would fucking pay it.
I wonder how much trouble we get in if we sponsored the school.
Probably a lot.
So one of those fences up.
So I want you to think about what you just said. You're willing to stroke a check for $150.
Yes.
For something.
Yes. If I knew
how much do you pay annually in taxes, and how much goes to the school system?
Are you talking about my property tax?
Yeah.
Well, it's also in your sales tax, but
$883.
Okay, $883, and that funds county government, state government, and schools. Right?
I pulled the math.
Yeah, I'm not city,
Right,
so I'm cheaper. Yeah.
Knox County Schools math is about $10,000 a kid, give or take, annually.
Yeah, just under 10.
Yeah.
Just under 10. All right. So I've lived in places where it was 25,000.
I lived in San Antonio where it was $4,700 a year for my house.
All right, so
that's half the price of my house here.
No, I meant 25,000 per child just for education.
Right.
Oh, I thought you were saying
property taxes were more.
Yeah, Knox County's
property taxes were more.
I paid in San Antonio. I paid $4,700 a year in property tax for a house that was half the price I live in now.
All right, so and what your comment about willing to stroke a check to help do something here?
Yes.
Let me put it to you this way: if we cut the education budget in Knox County in half, we could get a better product. We could get better education.
Well, see,
so it's not a lack of funding, and
I'm not talking about Knox County budget. I'm talking about all the stupid fundraisers the school does throughout the year.
But
that's what I'm talking about.
It's trying to fill the gaps in the
budget.
budget.
Hold on, you said you were willing to write a check for $150. I'm telling you, stop writing checks. I'm telling every parent in Knox County to stop funding additional money for education. Our education system doesn't lack money.
But what do you tell your kid when they say they're going to get that Dakota ring if they can sell 4 candles to your neighbors? And what happens? I buy 2 candles. I call my dad. He buys a candle. I call my mom. She buys a candle. And then the kids
this from the guy that told his kid, "I'm not paying for your education."
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Come on, man.
That's because at that point they're 18. They're fucking adults.
Send you to school. I didn't send you to school to get a Dakota ring. I sent you to school to get an education. That's all you get there. Everything else comes from home.
Yeah. They're young at that point. When they're 18, I can tell them to fuck off.
All right. Well, see, and that's just it. And that's where our education system has gone awry. They're indoctrinating our children to make them understand the world is your oyster. You get everything you want. Throw a temper tantrum if you don't. No, you don't get a Dakota ring. That's not what you're going for. No. You're going to learn to read and write.
Well, what part of Knoxville do you live in? West Knoxville, South Knoxville, North Knoxville, East
Knoxville? So are we going to do
Knoxville?
The disparity in funding?
No.
He's not that smart.
I'm just asking. So
if you live in North Knoxville, you know exactly what I'm about to say. But if you live in West Knoxville, you probably do not know what I'm about to say.
Okay, go ahead. I'm listening.
So where I live, you get to intersections of stop signs in the rural area, and it's like the Shriners or the fire department that are holding up out their boot to collect money, but instead it is the Little League baseball team, and it fucking pisses me off that they are teaching their kids, if you do not have money to support something you want to do, stand on the side of the road with a fucking baseball helmet and your Little League uniform on, and people will just give you money for not doing shit. And so my point is, like, you're doing a car wash, you're doing a bake sale, you're doing something, but in halls, they're teaching these kids, you don't have to work for anything, just fucking stand on the side of the road and fucking people will give you money. And it pisses me off every time I see it.
They're called nonprofits. So did you know that Knox and
just for reference, Randy got really excited when you started on the story.
So
he was looking at me like I knew something, and I was like, I don't know what you're doing, but I'm in. What are we talking about?
Seriously. and man, I'm telling you right now, this could be a huge segment for you. Did you know there's 3,500 registered nonprofits in Knox County?
I'd like to be one of them.
Hold on. It gets better. 3,500 registered nonprofits. That means they're doing something. They don't have to pay taxes and blah, blah, blah. They're helping the community in some way. sitting on $13.5 billion in assets. Think about that for a minute.
Churches fall under that, so yeah, that's a lot of.
Actually,
realistically, you have. You said 2,500 nonprofits? 3,500. So we've got 3,490 churches and 10 nonprofits. That's the real thing we're looking at.
Actually, and I don't mean to burst your bubble.
I'm just saying, if you're the
the religious institutions are not included in that number.
Oh fuck! So it's like 30,000 then, probably then, right? Really?
So there are nonprofits that run organizations that are
church related,
affiliated, but the churches themselves are not included. And actually, the religious organizations are a very probably about 3% of that 3,500 are actually identified as religious institutions.
Okay.
The overwhelming majority of those nonprofits are education or arts related. Now, I'm all in favor of nonprofits. I am. Here's the problem we face, and it's the same problem we face with every other form of government. And to say, well, nonprofits aren't government, well, yeah, actually they are. They're funded by government, so they are government.
They're not funded by government. They're just not paying into the government.
They're given federal grants.
No, actually, they are funded by, I told you, $13.5 billion in assets. The majority of that 3,500 nonprofits are taking government funds, local government funds, state government funds,
like
and federal government funds.
Example. Just give us pick one. Pick one out of the sky.
I have a food truck also.
Mm-hmm.
You do? I thought you got rid of the thing.
No, it didn't sell. I still have it.
Okay.
So it's called Veteran Rations. So any of you 55 listeners out there see Veteran Rations, come by and see my truck. But how it runs like a normal food truck, except for veterans never pay for food. They always eat for free. And so we've thought about, could we do this as a nonprofit, because more than 10% of, because what we looked up is as long as you give 10% to charity, you can be considered a nonprofit. And mostly what we do is veteran events, so it would work out. Where would I get these government funds from? Please enlighten me, because I'll take those motherfuckers.
So you apply for a grant. So grant funding is a whole business. We have grant writers. Actually, I think the new mayor of the city of Knoxville was actually a grant writer at one time. So she knows how to fund.
That is a profession.
She knows how to fund voting.
So I contact the government and tell them what I do, and I need $1 million grant to do this.
Yeah, pretty much. And then in the process, because you get somebody locally that supports your thing, and you're able to write a grant proposal. And believe me, when government entities take grant money, there's strings attached. Well, same thing applies to the nonprofits. The difference is the oversight for government is a little bit higher than it is for nonprofits. Who's monitoring the nonprofits?
I have no idea.
Who's paying attention? Well, it's supposed to be the IRS. You file a 990 and everybody pays attention, right? Not so much. Not so much. There's an old saying, you want to steal money? Establish a nonprofit.
Right. Right.
This is not a bashing of nonprofits. There are organizations out there that operate on a shoestring and a prayer and do the work that government shouldn't be doing. And they do it extremely well. They don't pay their membership. It's all volunteer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There are great nonprofits out there.
Well, that's ours. We don't pay our people.
So is the geo?
Yeah, we don't fall into that category.
Okay.
So anyway, my point is, we have government institutions that draw tax dollars, and we fund them and expect a return on the investment. Education is one of them. The amount of money that is being pumped into education is beyond just the tax revenue. It's other taxes we collected that we're sending out to nonprofits to support education. Believe me, schools are not underfunded. Well, I hear it all the time. Schools are not underfunded. What schools lack is oversight.
Well, see, we had this. Was it Gina we were talking about when she said, talk about this school system? They're gonna need more money. Who was that? That was Gina,
a lot of
different.
Well, part of the problem with that, and that's part of what we learned, and what I learned at least doing this, is that the way the way the school budget works isn't the budget is based on a projection, and so they're working on money they haven't collected yet, and so that's part of the problem with the issue with. For backstory for a second, and it was Gina where we started with it because that's where we started a lot of these conversations. Is that the assumption Max had, and it's logical, is that the school board should be way under budget since they shut down in March and didn't run the rest of the year because we were out of school because the virus and whatnot. But so that was the assumption. But at the same time, we are not collecting as a state and as a county the tax revenue to pay what was expected to be paid. So while yes, you were correct that the amount of money the schools spent should have gone down. I know they kept salaries and stuff going, but the amount of money that the schools were spending went down because of the shutting the schools down. At the same time, the amount collected that was supposed to pay what they were expecting to need went down as well. So they were under.
Which I don't understand that. I don't understand
they're
how
under
that was.
Because their budget is built on what they think they're going to collect the month before. So
I agree with that point, but the fact is. They collected on people buying food, people doing all this kind of stuff. COVID hit. All those people were staying home. People were buying more. Grocery stores have been doing well because people have not gone out to
Home
eat.
Depot's up like 70%.
Home Depot's up crazy amount of money. And so they've collected more money than they would normally collect because summertime, everybody's on vacation. People didn't vacation like they were in the past. So these people that were normally spending money in North Carolina, Florida, wherever they're going, were spending it here in Tennessee. So therefore, the Knox County school budget should be more than what they projected. I mean, so the point is they didn't pay for high school officials. They didn't pay for football state championship officials because I was a
right. But
official.
Hold on,
they didn't pay for wrestling officials. They didn't pay for all these extra things they had to pay for.
Right, but they didn't collect this what they would have collected anyway.
How would they have not collected the same thing?
Because all those people that would go to North Carolina or Florida to vacation. All those people from Ohio and Wisconsin that come down to Dollywood and spend all the money in Dollywood that was closed down, they're not spending money either.
I see what you're saying on that.
So at best, it was even, which is not likely.
So even if it was even, we should still have a surplus of money. They
were not paying
to air condition, cleaning, toilet paper.
Okay, so look it up.
All that shit.
I don't think TSSAA comes out of Knox County's
budget.
It
does. It comes. Well, no, it does.
Yeah,
Knox County pays for us. So when I officiated at Halls High School, Halls High School writes me a check for my officiating. So they didn't have to do that. They didn't have to do all the fall, the spring sports or any of that kind of stuff. They didn't have to pay for all that stuff. Now, when I go to the state tournament and they pay me when I'm in Nashville for the state tournament, that comes from TSSAA state budget.
Okay, so it's an easy. There's an easy answer here. Is that how much? I mean, how much did the state of Tennessee collect in tax revenue from March to today versus last year?
Our collections exceed our projections. Right
this
now,
year to last year,
as it stands right now. So,
thank God we have someone that knows what he's talking about on this show.
You're running on the assumption too. Fuck off.
All right, but no, hold on.
But my assumption was correct.
I'm gonna
tell it, preacher. Tell it.
Here, I'll preach. Neither one of you were really wrong. Neither one of you were wrong. You had a piece of it. You both had a piece of it. You didn't have the whole pie, but you had a piece of it, and I hope you enjoyed it. So, seriously, we're talking about two different things here. We're talking about budget and we're talking about expense. So you can budget one thing and you can spend another. And, at the end of the day, at the end of the year, we don't know what all the numbers are yet as a result of COVID. And we're not going to until we get to the end of it. And I don't mean necessarily the end of COVID as much as I mean the end of the budget cycle or the expense cycle. So those numbers are not known. We can continue to make projections about what they may or may not be. But generally speaking, like I said, I'll circle all the way back to schools are overfunded. The problem is not funding. The problem is not resource for education. The problem is the allocation of that resource and what we're putting it into. There's not a lack of money. There's a lack of oversight. There's a lack of interest in changing that model. And there's a lack of interest in changing that model because too many people are making good, solid money off it.
Right.
Like, any other kind of government. So we have, in Knox County, we have an opportunity to address this in a meaningful way. We have an elected school board. The superintendent of schools works for the school board.
He sucks.
Sucks or not, he works for the school board and he answers to them. He takes his marching orders from the school board, not vice versa. Now that guy is academically brilliant. No doubt about it. He knows what he's doing. He is an administrator. He knows how schools work. My contention is we need less people on the Board of Education that are academically brilliant and more understanding and in tune with efficiency in running systems for the best possible outcomes.
More accountants.
You've all heard, we want better educational outcomes. If you want better educational outcomes, provide a better education. And how do we? Where's that disconnect? Where is that disconnect?
Well, I mean, it's right in front of me. Is that if I want a better education, I would want more educators making decisions, not more accountants, for lack of a better word. If we're going to compare the two, as far as the elected body that is the.
Okay, so here it comes. You ready?
I'm no, but go ahead, hit me.
So our legislature provides law that tells the schools you're going to do X, Y, and Z. The school's response is, well, if I have to do X, Y, and Z, now I have to have this guy, this guy, and this guy, and this guy, and this gal, and this dog, and this cat, and this squirrel, and they all have to get paid, and they all have to... I'm growing a bureaucratic institution. I'm not growing, well-educated children.
Right. Okay. So I'm on board with the take the state.
It matters who governs.
At minimum, take the federal government out of education, but take the state down. I mean, I'm on the same page. I would prefer that the school board here in Knox County is the one that are truly making the decisions for Knox County schools, because what is happening is that the federal and the state are pushing their agendas in, and what things that need to be taught and how they need to be taught and programs that need to be available that we may not give a shit about. But if we have to have those programs available, we have to have people to run them, and then we have to have people that administer them, and then we have to have people that actually teach said programs. And it's like, well, nobody wants that, and we have to do that, and that's part of the inefficiency that we're talking about.
Well, it's just like they want to take away music, they want to take away vocational, auto body, all that kind of stuff.
Wait, you're using the term "take away."
They want to reappropriate funds to another department. Is that what you wanted me to say?
Well, no, actually. So when I was a kid, and this may not be the best example, but I will get to it, and I'll be ever so brief.
Hold on, let me see if I can guess. It's not that they're taking away the programs; they're not giving the money back for the programs.
So I have no musical ability. When I came in this evening, I asked Seth, who's the musician? I think anybody that can play a musical instrument is incredible.
Do you want my wife to come in here with a ukulele and play you?
No, so here's what I want. I don't want you to waste your time, money, or interest in trying to teach me about music, because I can't play it, and I don't care where it came from. Honestly. Oh, without arts we die as a... No, we don't. I never have, never will. I've had more success by not trying to learn the guitar than I have anything. I don't need public education to teach me how to play the guitar.
Right, and the theory...
There are systems in place that do that.
Okay, how about Anomaly?
I can... Hold on, let me finish.
Okay.
So I can appreciate that we have in our academic pipeline, this is music, this is what it sounds like, this is who does it, this is how it came to being, and this is the benefit to society. Done. I don't need a music class. I don't need band.
Okay, so
oh, that one hurts me.
If you want to...
Wait.
Go
ahead. I am very successful in what I do. Do I need to know the chemical makeup of oxygen? Do I need to know the capital of Syria? Do I need to know the proper there, and there thing? No. I don't need that stuff, right?
Thanks. That is our episode title.
There, and there.
So
agreed.
So then, if we take away music, let's take away science, let's take away history.
No.
Let's take if you're saying you don't need music, then why do I need history?
No, hold on. Provide the education, not the entertainment.
So education, what do you mean? What do you
provide,
mean by So I need to know what the capital of Syria for me to be successful in life?
All right, so hold on. If you are going to serve as ambassador to Syria, be a good idea if you know what the capital is.
Okay, so only the people that
no,
want to be the ambassador of Syria should take history, and only the people that want to be musicians should take music.
Close. So public education was original. Why do we educate the public? I have no musical ability. Mm-hmm. Why am I spending an hour every single week between the grades of 1st and 7th, every single week, an hour in music class?
Why are we spending an hour in history class?
Well, hold on.
Not even his. Is what if I didn't...
So we really don't need K through 12. We need like K through 8.
Well, what if?
Yes, I agree. Hey,
other countries
we're almost in agreement.
In agreement.
What if I have?
We go.
What if through my home life I have no access to, but it turns out that I have an affinity for a certain program and it's not available to me because there's no arts program?
What if Mozart would have never saw piano?
I mean, that's a
who?
Exactly, you have no idea because you didn't take music
no,
class.
So
the point is, it's all. And my point is,
it's all relative. So not everybody needs to be a college graduate.
No,
you don't need a college degree to play music. You don't need a college degree to weld. You don't need a college degree to teach.
No, and a majority of our people, and the disservice to we're making to our millennials is
we're past millennials. But okay.
What's the new generation?
My kids,
or my kids.
What are they calling them nowadays?
There's Gen Z,
20 through some what? But
hey,
anyway,
just for the record, I want to say
technically I'm on the cusp of millennial.
Yeah, I want to say I really appreciate the fact that none of you, since I got here, have said, "Okay, boomer."
Okay, boomer.
Shit, you ruined my.
You shouldn't have brought it up now.
So So this is the question is, it seems right now, maybe it's my generation that's pushing it, or Seth's generation is pushing it.
I wasn't making this a generational thing.
But it seems like go to college, go to college, go to college. It seems like there's a bigger push for college. And what I've seen of the people I've been around, my brother went to college. He's a teacher. My sister went to college. She graduated valedictorian of University of Tampa. I make more than them both put together. And have for many, many, many years.
All right. So is making money equal success?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I can't argue with that. If that's how you feel about it. But okay.
Perspective. Okay.
It is.
You clearly make more than I do.
But the fact is, and I didn't go to college. I went to the Cran University, as Seth would call it.
Cran eater.
But it seems like there's a big push on you got to go to college if you're going to be successful. And it's a sad because the
12 sucks.
But the people that are welding, the people that are mechanics, those people make a lot more than people coming out of college. And it's sad that it seems like our society now is you won't be successful if you don't go to college. So I'm a big proponent of those things in schools, to have auto mechanics, to have auto body, to have welding, and to have woodwork,
trade schools. Yeah.
The trade schools. And it seems like that's what we want to cut out, and we want to make sure that everybody knows the capital of Syria.
All right, so I think there is a balance, and again, almost an agreement. So I think that honestly, the arts have a place, and auto body shop, etc. All of it has a place. It truly does. I took home economics when I was in junior high school.
Me too.
So, but not because I wanted to. It was required.
Uh-huh.
It was required. But you know something? I learned something while I was there. The difference is it was just a brief portion of a larger education. It wasn't the entire semester. You got, a couple of weeks of home.
And you can probably sew on a button better than you can tell me what the 17th element is.
All right, C story. So
Hit it. You've been waiting.
I'm in Meridian, Mississippi. I go to muster and getting ready to march down to class for school, and I'm missing a button. Chief walks up in front of me, and he's like, "Shipmate, you got no button." And I'm like, oh, at least he didn't punch me. I showed up late for quarters one time, and this guy punched me right in the face. He's like,
which you deserved.
Early's on time is late. Okay. I never forgot it. So anyway, I'm missing a button. So, and he's like, yeah, you there's penalties for not being in a proper uniform. I'm going to get tardy, or I don't remember what it was. Anyway, too many years ago. I run back into the barracks. I grab my sewing kit that was issued to me in basic training. I sew on a button, and I run back out. And the chief, as loud as he can, says, "Pace, you're going to make somebody a great wife one day."
And you have.
You know something? I have. I retired in 2003. And I keep my wife, or she keeps me in the life I'm accustomed to.
That's awesome.
All right, so back to education real quick. Let me wrap it up for you. We can do better. We can, and when I say we, I mean we.
Right.
I'm not kidding. It's the same ball of wax. It's the same bailiwick. Call it whatever you want. It's the same mess.
So how do you? Okay, so I like the guy you're promoting. I'm like, oh, he's a good guy. He has the same views as what I want to say. Then I vote for him. He gets elected, and he does not do what I wanted.
Hold on, it's in my notes.
Yeah, I was
got
going to
it
say
right
for
here.
reference, he's got like 15 pages of handwritten notes
No,
that he
really,
brought for our show.
Stop,
That's
stop.
the question is
seriously.
how do I hold his feet to the fire? How do I?
So I'm listening to a podcast and you know it's like blah 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 and so my handwritten note says campaign promise. I ran for this reason but can't deliver. You know why? Seriously?
Yeah.
You want to know why? Because you didn't know what you were running for. You had no idea what the office you sought was responsible for. What and this. What's the function of government? There's 4 of us sitting here. And we can reference the Constitution, we can reference this, that, the other thing. What is the function of government? It has a finite function. It has a role. It has a responsibility. We are a representative republic. We're a type of democracy, okay?
Right.
So the more you ask for, the more you can get. At some point, your ask exceeds what I can give. And then you go into debt. The people that you elect to public office are the ones that are making the decisions about what we should or should not be doing. If you ask, I'm not going to vote for you unless he puts that sewer drain where and time out.
You're one person.
You're what sets your hair on fire doesn't set mine on fire. You know what sets my hair on fire? Less government. I don't need government to fix it for me. I really don't. And the people you elect to public office, if they get elected Knox County Commissioner with the promise that they're going to fund education, that's not their job. That's not a function of Knox County Commission. And when they fail, everybody goes, oh, wow, he wasn't a good guy. I don't like it. Well, he didn't understand before, A, he didn't understand before he got there, or B, which in a lot of cases is the case. He knew full well he made a promise he knew he couldn't keep.
So who
just to get elected.
Who controls Knox County education?
The school board. I've made this argument a bunch because whether you have kids or not, if you're a Knox County resident, whether you have kids or not,
we elect the school board.
Right,
we control it. The school board simply does our bidding.
Right, but whether you have kids or not, the school board.
Who elects the school board?
We do. You vote for them, or you check a box on when you don't pay attention. The school board is elected. It's the same.
If your school board candidate doesn't understand budgeting, doesn't understand oversight, has no leadership ability, cannot articulate the benefit of an annual audit, why, who, what, when, where.
So who's Knox County's?
Bob Thomas is
Thomas,
but
he was before him was
right, but he is not
McIntyre, yeah. So I don't ever remember voting for Bob Thomas.
You didn't. You don't vote for you do not vote for the school board superintendent.
Who do I vote for?
You vote for the school board.
Right.
The superintendent works for
just for
the
a matter of
board.
clarification, are the districts the same as county?
They are. School board districts are the exact same.
So whatever
as
your
county districts.
commissioner district is it's not the same person, but it's the same number.
I voted. Obviously, the
only one on this.
The only one remember ever seeing somebody running for school
more
board.
More often than not, they control the largest portion of your tax dollar, but they have the least amount of scrutiny, and they have the least amount of scrutiny because, pardon the expression, you're pissing in a fan. Oh, they don't have a doctorate. They've never been a teacher. They can't do that.
Right.
Job.
I've made the argument since we started this, as I've started to understand more of what's happening. There isn't whether you have kids or not. If you are a Knox County resident, whether you have kids or not, the school board matters to you as well. because essentially, if you're a county resident, well, if you're city or a county resident, 6% of this, or what is it? 6% of sales tax is Knox. No, 2.25%. What the fuck is it? How's the county? How's the sales tax go?
I'm sorry. I was trying to figure out how he's going to be nicer to all the school board members that we have, because I know they try very hard.
No, I'm trying to think like when you
what percentage? 67% of what we collect in taxes go to schools
automatically.
How's
whether you're a city or county, if you buy something and you collect.
I'm talking about property tax. 67% of
sales
what we
tax
take
not part of that too?
All right, so no, property tax and sales tax are two different things, and
right.
The portion of now
okay,
now we're going.
You brought it up.
Look, brother, that is a full show. I'm happy to bring everybody's budget in, and I'm happy to show you where the holes are and what to look for and who to point the finger at. I can do that.
But I was trying to. My understanding was that 60% of the total Knox County budget, 60-something%, give or take, went to the school board,
right,
and that included
the Knox County schools, Knox County, they both receive federal funding. Okay, and a portion of the federal funding they receive goes to schools. So when you talk about, and this is kind of where a lot of people run off the rails. Let's focus on Knox County and the people you elect locally, because I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to get a phone call from President Trump going, "Hey man, what do you think about this? Let's stop focusing."
You don't know who I am.
Do you know who I am? Do you have any idea who I am? So, and 543, or not 543, what was the number? 503, 506? It's over $500,000 or $500 million for Knox County schools this year.
And
the
between
2020 budget.
Right. If you take,
so out of that total dollar amount, that doesn't include just Knox County taxes. It doesn't include just state taxes. It doesn't include just federal. It's an amalgamation of all of it.
Okay. But
you have to parse it all out.
Right, but my point is
the county's portion, the majority of the taxes the county collects from property tax, 60 some odd percent,
right,
goes
to
schools.
Right, but my whole point was that whether you have kids or not, a big chunk of your taxes that you're paying in is going to the school. So whether you have kids or not, what the school board is doing matters to you, whether you have kids in the system or not.
Well, and again, all right, so I'm not sure I understand what you just said. So if I'm a senior, I don't have kids in school, I shouldn't have to pay.
No. He's saying that.
My point is that it matters. I'm making sure that's not where we were going.
I'm trying to back you up in the sense that these school board members that we elect matter whether you have kids or not, because when, like, you're joking about, well, if they don't have a PhD or blah blah blah, we don't vote for them. It's like, well, no, the accountant version matters. There's somebody that says, I'm going to be very meticulous about how we spend our money, especially when you don't have kids.
All right, so my ideal school board member would be somebody that's educated, somebody that doesn't have a full-time job, and really, and there are people out there like this that are unbiased, are non-biased. They don't look at the world in terms of it's for the children. They don't look at the world in those terms. Right. We got to give them everything they want, otherwise, no. You're, as a school board member, you're responsible for oversight of a system. And if you have the skill set to, without outside influence, manage systems, you're probably going to be a great school board member, because that is one system that impacts more in this country than most people realize.
Right.
Why do you think I'll give you a great example locally. The one of the budget issues for the schools said, "Oh, we're going to defund this particular program that helped the more disadvantaged kids in one segment of the community because people weren't writing a $150 check." And people showed up in mass in red T-shirts and said, "You can't do that." Well, where do you think the funding and the impetus and the push for that effort came from? It came from within the academic institution that benefits from all that free-flowing money.
Right.
The schools had money in their budget to cover the expense for that much-needed program. It was simply an allocation of that resource. They had the money somewhere else. They just didn't push it over there. And they didn't push it over there because, well, I can get reelected. My constituents want X. Well, it's not what your constituents want. Be honest with them. We can afford this or we can't. This is part of education or it's not.
But the sad thing is I can run on a platform, whether it's school board, whether it's whatever, and say, I want to do this, whatever it is, and not do any of it, and run the next year on the same platform, and you will get the same amount of votes because people don't care what you do. They just care what you say you're going to do.
Right, and that was a good Matt. Which one of the things Shear says is like, I hate a candidate that likes to campaign that doesn't like to govern.
I mean, a great example, Trump. He ran on I'm going to close the borders, and he's been on this rant of building walls and stuff, and people are like, oh, he's only built 6 miles of walls or whatever, but every single person who has ran for president and has won has ran on we need to have more border security on Mexico. And so, I mean, Obama ran on it, Clinton ran on it, everybody has ran on it. Bush ran on it. They all ran on border security, and Trump is the first person that has tried to secure the borders. My opinion is different from Trump. I'm like, fucking open up the borders. Let every person from Mexico that wants to come to America come fucking in, because it will, my opinion is, if you're worried about some unskilled laborer coming from Mexico and taking your job, then maybe you need to improve your life. And that's my view. I would have a Mexican running my fucking food truck. I'd have a Mexican doing my lawn work. I would spend a lot less money on maintenance of my household if we had open borders.
Should have married a
That's my opinion.
That was your key point right there. You would be paying less, assuming that fact.
All right. So
exactly.
Now, almost in agreement. So check it out. Check it out. No kidding. Check this out. I don't disagree with you in the premise that if somebody's seeking liberty and freedom and is willing to work hard, this is the place to come. It is. Our immigration laws have been broken for a long time. And it's not a left or right issue. I'll be honest with you. I agree. If somebody's willing to come here, make their own way, and not rely on the programs we provide for their sustainability, they ought to come here. By the same token, we have people that live in this country that live off the government. No, Randy's going down the welfare deal.
I will guarantee you there are more people that were born in this country that live on this system and will live on this system more than any immigrant that comes to this country.
All right, so you can say that unless you cite the study that the government paid for millions of dollars they paid for. It's anecdotal, but it isn't incorrect.
No, it's not incorrect.
All right. I said it isn't incorrect.
Okay.
I don't disagree with your premise. There are, and believe me, I've been all over the world. I've met people that were like, "Oh, I would love to go to America. It was the land of the free," and that's what they want. They want freedom more than they want, government intervention. They want less government. There ought to be a law. No, there really ought not be a law. You ought to behave yourself so we don't have that law, because that law costs money and we can't afford what we already have. So shut up. To your point, closing our borders is a good thing. When they're porous to the point where people come into the country unchecked and then end up being a burden, not working, just to get a benefit, that's a problem. So in that respect, we need to close the border. However, at the exact same time, the United States Congress, Senate, and House need to put aside DNR, get it? DNR,
do not resuscitate.
Just making
these are the jokes.
Just
people.
making sure we're all still awake. We need to put that aside and say we have an open immigration policy. Right now, we set numbers. We put caps on who can come here. Well, let's be honest about this. If you're from Iran or Iraq or
Syria,
I'm thinking I'm a
Sudan.
no. I'm going to say this, and I may offend an awful lot of your viewers.
No, all 55.
Yeah, I get it. If you're from Venezuela, I'm not sure we've got anything here for you unless you understand the American model, which is liberty and freedom and not socialism.
Yeah, but the thing is, you can have immigration without putting a drain on our social thing. So, like, okay, you want to come here and work? You want to come here and work? That's fine. But unless you're a U.S. citizen, you are not going to get Social Security. You're not going to get unemployment. You're not going to get all this stuff because you are not a U.S. citizen.
So while I have never had that conversation about policy with President Trump, I can assure you with some level of certainty, he has had that conversation with others, and he's articulated the exact same thing you and I are saying right here. I'm not kidding.
Come here, work. Like
I'm not kidding, brother.
I have a buddy in Mexico right now that I would love. I would buy a house, put him in it. And
you just told me my sister's trying to go to Mexico. My sister's trying to move to Mexico.
Oh, I am. I'm buying a island off the coast of Nicaragua. That's what I'm working on now.
She voted for Tom Spangler, and she's a Democrat. I said, Pam, you can't do that. She's like, but I like Tom. He's a nice. Pam, you could have voted for him in the general. But what if that other guy would have won? Then I wouldn't. Pam, that's not your choice. It's a primary election.
Well, that's the problem.
That's why I'm here.
The problem with the election that's happening is there will be people voting for not Trump. There will be people voting not for the person they want. They will be voting for the person they don't want.
Right.
And that's sad.
Well, I don't know. And I think one of the things we've touched on a couple times tonight too is that there is a strong issue, and this is something that I've been thinking about a lot, is that there's a strong issue with the idea that I got elected on these ideals, or I got elected because I'm not the other guy. And the inability for, especially on the federal level, for most people to not separate the two and say, oh, well, I got elected for, I got elected to build a wall, for the Trump example. I got elected to build said wall. But I only won, I mean, I technically lost on the popular vote. Trump did. Mm-hmm. I technically lost that popular vote. So while yes, that was one of the things I ran on, it doesn't necessarily mean it's one of the things that the country needs me to do, or that my whoever I am governing needs me to do. And that's an issue. I think on the broad spectrum of things, it's like, I ran on said, it's one of the things with campaign promises that's an issue, is because I'm promising something that maybe I do want to do, and maybe my base that's voting for me wants me to do, but that may not be the right thing to do. And I think we as the public have a hard time rationalizing that thing. It's like, I voted for Trump because I wanted to build a fucking wall, or I didn't vote for Trump for whatever reason, and now I'm going to poke holes in his game because he can't build a wall. It's like, well, obviously,
half my family is going to vote for dumbass because they hate Trump so much. They don't.
Oh, okay. I was going to clarify which dumbass you were referencing, but okay, you got
the
there.
Dumbass.
Why are you looking at me?
The pedophile dumbass, not Sam. He's not a pedophile or a dumbass.
Right, and it's the premise of understanding how to govern instead of just campaigning. And I think that's one of the issues.
There are so many
people
that are going to vote for Biden who would not ever think about Biden in a million years or want him, but they're going to vote for him because he is not Trump.
Right. I agree.
That is fucked up.
I think it's funny. It's common knowledge that most politicians will run on ideas that we know will not come to fruition, and yet we still want to hold them to it in every single election.
Right, defund the media. Sex sells. People stop to watch a train wreck. Blah 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 blah.
It's like, understanding promise.
Understanding.
Like, well, you didn't keep your campaign promise, and it's like,
look.
Sadly, it's most politicians. Not all.
I'm gonna say this, and I almost said his name. The former occupant of the White House,
Barack Obama,
was one of the most skillful individuals about understanding the American psyche and the public want. The public want. Government doesn't exist to provide for public want. That's not government's function. But he preyed on that and he fed on that. And now we're in a point in history where the majority of the places where people get information are locked into feeding public want. And how do you feed that want? Well, we're a participatory government. We're a democracy, representative republic. Our form of government fails. Tocqueville, not my comment, not my philosophy. I didn't come up with this. We fail when people realize, hey, we just got to elect the guy that's going to give us stuff.
Right.
We elected Barack, the former occupant of the White House, because he was going to give us stuff. And he was going to promise us stuff. And we were...
I mean, the saving grace is Biden didn't get his the nomination for the Democratic Party, but not Biden. Biden did, but Bernie didn't on that premise of stuff.
Yeah, and I think it'd have been way different if Bernie would have got the nomination because he ran on I'm gonna do this stuff for you. Like he was right. Who's the vice president?
Kamala.
Huh?
Kamala. I want to make sure I say it right.
But she ran.
Nasty. Oh wait, I didn't say that. I'm sorry.
But she ran and on the same premise of Bernie Sanders kind of thing, but she made the mistake of trying to define what she was talking about.
You're talking about Elizabeth Warren.
Oh, it was Elizabeth Warren.
Elizabeth Warren.
Sorry.
Right.
Yeah, it was Elizabeth Warren.
I was trying to remember.
Elizabeth Warren put her program out, which is exactly the same premise as the Bernie program, but she actually put it on a paper, and everybody's like, "Fuck, are you kidding me?
We can't do this." and that's what Bernie did really, really well. It's like, hey, everybody's gonna have everything they ever wanted,
right?
And not try to define how that was gonna happen,
right? So, yeah, I don't like. Yeah, I don't.
That's every politician.
But I
agree with you wholeheartly.
But
it's every politician.
But okay, so to kind of try to wrap this whole conversation up is like it's the idea whether it's intentional or not is that we don't know who is supposed to do what, and so like going back to the Gina conversation, like literally it's like I don't know what to ask this woman. I don't know what she's. I mean, I know what she's done from like the public record or sake or whatever, but I don't know what the job is.
But that's almost, I think, some of the best. I think we've talked about it before. I think the best way to go into an interview of someone,
right?
Because you are literally playing the part of people that are listening,
right?
Uninformed
absolutely,
listener,
and accidentally or stupidly or whatever, we've accidentally fallen into that role, and I'm super happy about that. But to Randy's point is that it's like we don't know what they are supposed to do. We don't know what they're supposed to be doing. We don't know what things that they're supposed to be making decisions on. Right. So they can. I mean, fucking for lack of a better example, Gina could run on the premise of build the wall. A state house rep has no fucking business talking about anything about the Mexican border, but she could run on that premise, and 99% of the people that are voting for her have no fucking clue that she has no input on that thing.
I think you. In a lot of interviews, I think, well, probably all of them. I didn't listen to all of them because
you weren't in them.
If I'm not in them, I don't fucking care. But you asked, so what is your job? You get elected. What does your job look like day one?
Right.
And nobody could really answer that question, and I think that goes back to this idiot sitting to my right.
Wait, hold on. You're right, not my right. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. My right is most of the politicians going into office have no clue what their job is.
Well, I'm not sure they have no clue. A lot of them get a rudimentary understanding.
Well, you stepped out while you stepped out, and while you were stepping out, I was going on a rant on how we, as the voting populace, we don't know what they're supposed to do. And so my joke was Gina could have ran theoretically on the premise of I'm going to help Trump build the wall, and that has zero to do with the position that she is seeking. But you and I, well, you would know better, but the rest of us wouldn't know better to say whether she has any actual influence on that conversation or not. And that's, I think, through this episode, if nothing else, that's one of the things I'm coming to understand is that I don't know what their actual job is.
And that's why I said when Seth was interviewing most of these people, he was like, "Oh, so you get elected. What does day one look like?" And who had a legitimate response on what they were actually going to do?
Budget. That was the best answers were budget conversations.
There is a roadmap, and when I'm in other attire, I keep a pocket Constitution in my jacket.
What is that? What is that?
Pocket Constitution. Copy of the
Constitution. What? Do politicians know what that is?
Right, so hold on. It's been amended, and so many laws have been written. There ought to be a law. No, there are already laws, and we can't follow the ones we have. So how about we do this? Understand the limits of your authority, the role of your office. There is no handbook. There's no book. When somebody walks into the election commission in Knox County and says, I want to pull a petition, I'm going to run for public office, I have unlimited funds and lots of friends, and I can promise everybody lollipops and rainbows, and I can get elected. But that doesn't make you an effective legislator. It doesn't make you effective member.
That's going to be Seth in 4 years.
Thinking about it.
No,
I can't though. If we're going to continue the show, I can't.
I'm thinking. No, Seth, you could literally spend the next 4 years reading about what the function of government truly is, and at the end of the day, we the people decide. I said it before I stepped out.
He doesn't need to know what the Constitution is.
Stop asking the government to do more. That's not our job, because you can ask them to. I had a woman show up for county commission meeting one time, and she was complaining because we were no longer going to fund the sports organizations. We had a soccer field, a turf soccer field, one of the rubber, spongy, fake grass that we paid untold millions of dollars for this thing, and it was for a youth soccer league, and we couldn't maintain it. We couldn't afford to maintain it anymore. She was upset. We were no longer going to give money to the Medford Youth Athletic Association. She was upset about it. We couldn't take the trash out at the parks. The poop at home. Carry in, carry out. We literally couldn't afford to do all the things you wanted us to do because, there just wasn't any more money left in the kitty. So when people get elected to public office and to make those promises, it costs money, and people don't understand that. Well, I pay 2,400 square foot home in the state of New Jersey, Bedford Township. Your taxes are $12,000 a year. Wow, that's a lot of money. I pay a lot. I have a home in Tennessee, get bigger and a fraction of that. Well, why am I able to do it for less? Because we're not funding all that other stuff that politicians promised you.
Yeah, we're going to add $5 to your property tax to fund this.
So again, like I said, we are the problem. The public's the problem. Stop asking for more because it isn't a function of government.
Well, no,
there is no roadmap.
You can ask for more, but you got to understand you're going to spend more. And people don't correlate those two together.
Be honest with the public, they'll elect you. Be honest with the public, tell them you're going to live within your means. Tell them you're only going to provide police, fire, EMS, infrastructure, things that you can't afford to do yourself. Everything else is gravy. Going back to nonprofits, we have a nonprofit in Knox County, the arts organization. They have this huge building on Gay Street of all places, and they don't pay taxes. The money that organization brings in primarily comes from the motel, hotel tax or wheel tax, and
I thought the wheel tax was allocated for roads.
So, and it pays the head of that organization's salary because she gathers a whole bunch of artsy folks together. And I'm not beating up on the arts. That's not what I'm doing. What I'm saying is we're paying a bureaucrat to make it look warm and fuzzy. Oh, well, Knoxville's a more desirable place because we have all these wonderful things and festivals and stuff going. Time out. I'm all for that. Let it self-fund. Let it self-fund and not through the taxation process.
Right.
If you want to bring in $10 million annually through Bonnaroo, I'm all for that. Do I need to pay an organization in a government-funded or non-taxed building to make that go? No, my answer is no, we don't. Your economic impact is not what you might think it is, and you're taking an awful lot of government funding and you're funding other organizations. Yeah, it's a mess.
All right, so I'm gonna I got one question and we're gonna close out because we can't go 7 hours. So are we as a city and county gonna fund this baseball stadium?
Wow. Here
we're on. I kind of guess.
I'll leave you with two things, and both of them are decisions for taxpayers. Do we elect or appoint the law director? The Knox County Republican Party GOP is not in favor of appointing the law director, and
right.
That runs afoul of one of our, conservative elected officials. Why? It matters who governs. And if the public doesn't vote, if the public doesn't engage, just the cost associated with an appointed law director structure, not just for the mayor, not just for county commission, not just for the schools, is far and above what we have right now. We have an elected law director. It needs to stay the same. Point to one model, and it's not just baseball stadiums. Yeah, same thing applies to affordable housing. Name one successful government-controlled model, government-funded model that works. Government-funded, taxpayer-funded sports stadiums don't work. They don't. I'm sorry, particularly for a minor league baseball team.
Right.
So my understanding is that the Boyd organization is willing to, exit his contract. He's going to pay, something like $10 million to get out of the contract he's in, out in Sevier County. Really? And so what happens to the Sevier County taxpayers? Well, they have a huge tourism tax base. Knox County doesn't have it. They have a huge tourism tax base, not based on the Smokies baseball team.
Right.
And I got news for you. You can call it whatever you want. I watched Campbell Field built in Camden, New Jersey, only to be torn down, and the taxpayers left holding the bag with debt as it related to that baseball field. It was beautiful stadium right underneath the Ben Franklin Bridge. All the ball games we saw. No.
So
if it works, fund it yourself. Let it be a private enterprise. You want to bring baseball to Knox County? Do it. You want to put it right downtown? Do it. Absolutely. We will remove or assist in massaging the government regulation that allows you to do that, but no public funds should ever be spent for that endeavor. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. I'm just curious. I mean, it's always the argument of tax revenue gained from versus not existing.
I played all Navy softball.
Yeah.
I'm a sports guy. I love used to love NASCAR. I'm a sports guy. I love it. When I found out that the guys that played for the Cubs got paid to do what they did, I'd have paid you to wear that uniform.
Right.
I was a good ball player. Yeah, you can't make money. Yeah, well, you can, I guess. I don't know. Well, it's a private enterprise. Government has no hand in that.
All right. Well, that's a good close down spot. Well, we super appreciate Randy for coming in. It's episode 24 in the books. I'm going to put it down as there, and I'm going to spell it all three ways just for funnies. Like I said, I got a couple of interviews coming up this week. I'm hoping to get Eddie Manis and Gina Oster, or at least a representative from both of them, in as soon as possible to see what they want to say about what's going on with that. We can't appreciate Randy enough. I'm going to get some notes from him. We'll put some show notes as far as how to get a hold of the Republican Party and stuff like that here in Knoxville. Thank you guys so much for listening. We are Almost in Agreement at gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. If we're not on a podcast provider that you like, email us and I'll figure out how to get on there. Thanks, everybody.